Now on the internet, if we look at the education website, but also that of the Polytechnic of Bari, we notice that the volume of traffic far exceeds the possibilities of the network itself. And this for misuse of the network. We have already seen sites with pages written with fairly heavy code. Many people use the net to download school books and PDF pages. And this already causes traffic. Not to mention those who download movies. This takes a lot and block that passage already very small for the volume that exists. Let's not talk about those who ignore the network code. I mean that of a website should appear on the opening page. A summary of the contents of the page. So that we can understand immediately what it is. And to what extent should you visit it. In order to track down what interests me. So a series of links that will take me to the various paths in no time. I should be in a position to see right away. On that site if there is or is not the topic that interests me. Instead we are still witnessing people who pour, say, links. Because it is clear that when we talk, as I know, about Barletta's challenge, which appears on all the sites we find, we have to put ourselves in the shoes of those who are abroad. And he doesn't even know what a challenge is. So there should be a link about challenge and clarify what it is. And Barletta, what city it is, where it is located and also its location. From here, growing crescendo, you get to the seller, to the characters. But always with summaries with a series of links that allows me to see what interests me. And neglect what I don't care about. Because even on such a site, I can do a fairly targeted research. And this must be possible on the internet. Instead we find very long pages with images that slow down loading and that led, as an immediate consequence, most of the time, at a symbol with the printer to indicate that it can be printed. These are experiences lived by the students. To which I always say do not start from scratch. And take something already done. Some essays on the history of architecture. It is clear that if one reports the dissertation, just as he did it on paper, it is natural to look for the link to download the paper. And read it on paper with all the inconveniences that with the press. In addition to engaging the network, there is a cost that is certainly higher when buying the booklet from which that text was taken. Tornado to our speech we must begin to understand. But maybe we should understand it already in the first grade. How to deal with these problems. It's always about learning to read and write. After 20 years it is very difficult to convince a person who is convinced and satisfied with her beautiful sight. As in the particular case of Barletta. With the rotations of the texts, which are good on Explorer and on PC. But as soon as we change browsers, and we use, for example, the Mac platform, we see that he can't even hold the images together. So we are very far from making a cross-platform page. And we are still far from the heaviness of the code. If we open the source of this page, made with a writing program, we find a series of commands. As characters in red bold characters. The font size, the style of the character. Then ends the command and there is nothing written. All of this is wasted code. Undoubtedly to bring back a long enough text. There is no need to rewrite it in the HTML language. But once you go through a writing program, it should be cleaned up and brought online in a fluid way. In a, let's say, fluent way. Identical speech, but we have already mentioned it. Applies to images and then we come to the movies. Put a movie that can't be opened quickly. It is better not to wear it, and here comes the discourse of putting. When opening the site and with JavaScript you do it quietly. A code that reads the monitor on which the page was opened. The type of platform if the computer on which the page opened is in a position to open movies. If he is in a position to be able to use the Java code and gradually. So a code would come that is function of the computer that receives the page. It is clear that multiple pages must be made on the same site, which should be developed in multiple formats, in order to be adapted every time. At least, to the most common monitors. It is useless, on a 600x800 monitor. Open a page that requires at least 1024. The page will be seen badly. The page has a graphic composition, which must already clarify with the image itself, before I even read what it contains and what it is. If we cut this page we see it broken up. It certainly doesn't make sense. Similarly, it is not even enough when, as soon as you click, the warning opens. This site requires a tot by tot format. I just wasted time clicking. It's all about off-road education. But to traffic on the network. Returning to the relief, we said that to carry it out, we must know the history and everything related to the object to be detected. We must become masters of it. It is clear as well, and we have verified it, that it is not possible to carry out this study just when we are going to carry out the survey. You need to research the object. Research that is dictated by needs that arise gradually during the survey. So basically you need a database. A territorial information system is needed to be able to access and then derive the precise information. It should also be clear that a territorial information system cannot be subject to a contract or management by a private company, which controls, say, the setting and content. The territorial information system must be an open system, open to all, and everyone must be able to verify the truthfulness of what is contained. And everyone must contribute to enriching and continuously expand this system. Clearly all this must be the result of a culture. But for the moment, what I think, the only way is school. In the school we find open young people, excited, with a thirst to know, and the experience of the teachers, that they can verify and, let's say, without limiting too much, youth activity can check and possibly correct, within certain limits, what is produced.